Hi everyone, Brendan Houdek here from New York Speech Coaching in New York City. I am so pumped for today's episode as it is the first installment of our Nintendo series. Today's episode?
Yoshi!
Going to lie, I have really been looking forward to this series of episodes. I am a huge Nintendo fan, especially some of the older systems like Nintendo 64 and GameCube, so I have been impersonating a few of these character voices for most of my life. Who better to start with than my favorite character to play as in Mario Kart,
Yoshi!
For those of you who don't know how a voice breakdown works, all you need to do to imitate any voice is figure out 6 components. Figure out those 6 components, and you can imitate any voice you wish. Let's break down Yoshi's voice. Component number 1, the vocal cords. Yoshi has a very high-pitched voice. This will definitely be in your head voice or falsetto range. We need to lengthen the vocal cords to get that high-pitched sound. You'll need to listen to certain sounds and phrases of his, as sometimes the vocal cords have greater levels of compression than others. If you remember, compression refers to how tightly or loosely the vocal cords are coming together medially. Sometimes his vocal cords will be more decompressed.
Wow!
And other times they will be more compressed.
Wow!
You can hear a greater level of breathiness in the first example and a more connected sound in the second example. Component number 2, the larynx. While the larynx is not a pitch changer and we can train it to go lower while we are raising our pitch, this is difficult to do, especially in really high-pitched voices like Yoshi's. The good news is we want to raise the larynx for this voice anyway, so just let it naturally rise. This will aid in creating some of the brightness in his voice. Component number 3, the tongue. We have discussed how the tongue can clench in many of our past videos. Out of all the voices we will be covering in our Nintendo series, Yoshi is the only character to utilize the tongue clench. Make sure to
Clench the back of the tongue and raise it upward, allowing for a very small pocket of air in the mouth.
You might have noticed how that sounded a lot like Stitch's voice from episode 6. Yoshi's voice and Stitch's voice share many of the same components. The difference being that Yoshi's voice has the lengthened, high-pitched vocal cords, while Stitch's does not.
Stitch. Yoshi!
Component number 4, the soft palate. The soft palate is very important for Yoshi's voice. When the soft palate is lowered and the back of the tongue is raised, sound is directed into the nasal cavity. For Yoshi's voice, we want the majority of the sound to go into the nose. While some sound still needs to come out of the mouth, we want roughly 90% of the sound to come out of the nose and 10% to come out of the mouth. If you place your hands lightly on your nose while doing this voice, you will really feel the vibrations.
Wow! Yoshi! Wow!
Component number 5, articulation. Yoshi very rarely says real words apart from his name. He typically is just making silly sounds. This makes his articulation both easy and difficult. It's easy because you don't have to worry about having precise articulation, which is often difficult when trying to imitate a voice. It's hard, however, because it will take some homework on your part to figure out exactly what sounds he is producing when he says all of his crazy sounds. Component number 6, prosody. Prosody will be a bit different for this series. As we know from past videos, prosody refers to the melodic and rhythmic patterns present in a person or character's speech. But Nintendo characters don't typically give long discourses. Therefore, we don't always know exactly what patterns would be present over longer periods of talking. Rather, they often have common catchphrases and sounds. It's good to learn some of these and the melodic or rhythmic qualities they contain. We'll be doing this for each of the characters in the Nintendo series. For Yoshi, some of his most popular sounds are
Yoshi!
One thing we can definitely say about his prosody is that his rhythm is usually very fast and has dramatic changes in his pitch. To produce some of these catchphrases and sounds, you might need to adjust a few of the prior 5 components, such as how much nasal resonance you use, how high his pitch is, and how much vocal fold compression you utilize. Let's recap. Component number 1, the vocal cords. We want to lengthen the vocal cords to produce a very high-pitched voice in our head voice falsetto range, and want to vary the compression of the vocal folds depending on what sound he is making. Component number 2, the larynx. We want to allow the larynx to naturally rise to help add some brightness to his voice. Component number 3, the tongue. We want to clench the back of the tongue and raise it upward, creating a small pocket of air for the voice to resonate. Component number 4, the soft palate. We need to lower the soft palate and allow the majority of the sound to enter into the nasal cavity. Component number 5, articulation. Since Yoshi isn't saying real words most of the time, we can allow his speech to have poor enunciation. And component number 6, prosody. For our Nintendo characters, they typically just have short catchphrases that they say. Listen to these catchphrases numerous times and see if you can memorize the rhythmic and melodic patterns. Thank you for watching. Thanks, Yoshi. New York Speech Coaching's Yoshi, please. Voice Breakdown, episode number...
Yoshi!
Yes, episode number Yoshi. Episode number 13. Be sure to check out future episodes of Voice Breakdown, the show where we teach you how to imitate some of the most iconic voices.
Yoshi!
See you next time.
Ta-da!